Okay, these are the floor hatches. These are going to be removable. They won't be caulked down. I might have to put some screws in them because sometimes they don't lay flat. But by cutting these first, I can cut them nice and square where they're all the same. They can be swapped around. On my boat, I have 3 large hatches, and they're all 3 different, and they have to go left, right in a certain spot. It's kind of a pain, so I'm taking the time to make sure that these hatches are all the same and interchangeable. Unboxing the first of 2 ACs. Okay, so move the air conditioner. Was going to go in this closet and have return air at the top. I mean the ducts at the top. But I think it's going to fit better right here. There was a closet here, and I'm gonna box it out all the way up to the top for the vents, and that's where it's going to go. But I got these nasty hoses that when this shower is built, they will be totally inaccessible. So I'm going to replace them with hard PVC pipe. So before I can screw any of this plywood down, that's our next project. Okay, we are slowly putting the boat back together. I've got most of the floor panels cut, and they're just really sitting with one or 2 screws in each one so they don't move around. I am running electrical conduit under the floor where I know I need it, and maybe 1 or 2 extras, because once I glue and screw the floor down, it ain't coming back up. I have gotten rid of all those flex hoses, and I am using plastic electrical conduit to replace them all. And I like that electrical conduit because it comes with the long radius 90s. So anytime there's a hose in the boat, especially ones I can't get to later, I am replacing them with the plastic pipe. This is the holding tank that came out of the boat. This is where it was. Although it wasn't being used and it smelled really bad down there, so we assumed the bilge was leaking. I mean, the tank was leaking and they didn't use it. Sure enough, it's got a split on the top, and then both of the main fittings, the suction and the influent, were really puttied up with a whole lot of white stuff. So I grinded it all off, and now I see what's there. The tank is broken pretty badly. So, what to do? I don't know. I'm kind of leaning toward going with one of the little treatment plants like I have in my boat, my other boat, where you don't have a holding tank. It's good for all the waters in Louisiana. It's not good for some zero discharge lakes. So something to think about. Do I try to patch this tank? Do I order a new one? It's kind of a special size. Or do we eliminate it and go with the sewer treatment plant like a pure sand? Another big day today. All of these panels are screwed and glued down. They are not coming back up, at least not from this old man. And it's very strong, or bounce free or whatever. I just have the few little panels across the front still have a little bit of plumbing to do for the air conditioner and for the shower sump drain. But within an hour, those plywoods will be down, and then I can rebuild this bulkhead up here and then start putting everything back together. So I've screwed and glued down the remainder of the floor up at this bulkhead, with the exception of this strip and this little square. That's because the shower pan has a drain that needs to go in there, and I want to set the shower pan first, and I can't pick it up by myself, so I'm waiting on my son to come over. And there's also a drain running from the shower sump pump that pumps overboard, but it needs to fasten to the bulkhead. So I wanted to go ahead and get the bulkhead built. Something I can do. So that's what we'll be working on today. And I love the floor. It's nice walking around on flat surface for a change. Putting this front bulkhead back together. I don't have my tripod, so I can't have any action shots. But what I've done is cut a piece of plywood narrow enough so that I can jam it up under here and push the bottom in. And I did a long piece and slid it down there where it gets kind of narrow. And I did a piece here in the middle and slid it this way, and I have one piece left in the middle. I'll put it in, and then I have the original piece of bulkhead that I cut out of here, but the floor is now higher, so I'll have to cut the bottom a little bit, and then I'll put it back in. Toenail some screws through the floor, but the real strength on the floor is going to come from glassing. I'm going to put some heavy glass to attach it to the floor. So it turns out that my original bulkhead won't reach the floor. Apparently when I cut it out, I cut it above the floor and then remove the garbage after the fact. So what I'm going to do, alright, the front bulkhead is complete. It is double 3/4 at the bottom. I added a new layer on the inside. I'll put the old 3/4 back in place that I had cut to get to the stringers that were under it. I have a 3-inch tape glassed into the saw mark where I cut it, and at the bottom I have a layer of chop mat and a heavy layer of woven roving. And man, I'm happy. Another step forward. Now I can start framing back the bathroom. I need to run these studs down to the ground or to the floor. I need to run this finished plywood to the floor, and then I can set that fiberglass pan that came with the boat, which is kind of a nice thing, and then I can frame the two outside walls to match. This wall has the door in it, and the other wall has nothing. It's just a wall behind the commode and the vanity.